She-Hulk Deathless abilities, everybody. That's what we're going to be looking at in this video. This was meant to go live on Monday, but it's out there now, so we can all talk about it and all can see it. The CCP were told that you're not allowed to talk about the abilities until the embargo date, which is like Monday, but it's fair game now because it's out. This is Daddy Longlegs' video. Link is in the description to go and check it out. He will be doing a bigger dissection than me. This is a 24-minute video, and we're just going to be looking at some of the key things. So, you know, what's different, what's changed. We're going to go into game and compare the She-Hulk in game. So we'll be doing those kind of like comparisons of things. So first of all, survivability 3, damage 4, ease of use 3, utility 3.5, defender strength 1.5. I can't remember if that's a new metric or that was a thing that was already in there to begin with, but yeah, it is what it is. Physical damage, strengths. Okay, so She-Hulk can, in simple anger for bloodlust and stacks trauma debuffs instead of the fury passives. The original favors. This gives her the ability to output more physical burst damage than almost any other champion in the game, and to benefit from the negative physical resistance twice, once on her hit and again on the burst damage that scales with those hits. I suppose it's a bit different, isn't it? To this is actually the final Deathless Champion. For those that don't know, I'm just trying to find my She-Hulk right now so we can just do a quick comparison. So they're obviously very different in the build, of course, you know, good. But there's something that I love already, and I've seen it. Anti-miss. I'm jumping around, but I just read that then. I was like, while this fear debuff is active, we'll kind of like talk fear. Okay, let's go. I'm too excited. She-Hulk has easy access to a fear debuff on her heavy attack. Of course, slow debuff is what we know with the original champion, allowing her to shut down most unblockable abilities. Great. Look at that. Shut down unblockable abilities with the heavy attack. Very, very different to now, which we've got like a slow, what is it, like a unstoppable and evade based counter. This one goes in a very different direction. So at least there's something new and original there. And that's avoiding a lot of the contest's scariest threats. Now, would that be... I want to try that out. Like, there's a lot of champions that I just can't stand because they've got like unblockable mechanic within it, but it's good. While fear debuff is active, She-Hulk cannot miss, giving her one of the best and most reliable miss counters in the game. Hell yeah. Heck yeah. Like, that is just absolutely brilliant. I love miss counters, even more so when you get to use a champion that is just different and operates in a different manner. We're talking like this is another champion to go, oh, go take on that Kitty Pryde, or take on that yeah, just anything that's got a miss as part of it. I hate miss, I really do, but at least it's new and it's dynamic enough. Okay, what have we got as well? We've got this one, further bits of info. Always active. I assume this is the Awakened ability, aggression, negotiations, or is this just like a sub ability? I'll find out in a minute. And then, yeah, an enhanced immune system, poison immune when striking the opponent. While striking the opponent or when struck, She-Hulk has a 40% chance to inflict a 14% trauma debuff. Makes sense because obviously trauma, as he said, factors into her doing the burst damage. For each personal trauma on the opponent, the chance to inflict will reduce 2% flat to a minimum 10%, and potency have increased by 1%. She-Hulk doesn't share. Her trauma debuffs are paused during her strikers. Nice. Okay, that improves the aggression. That improves the aggressive negotiations. Yeah, it just helps the aggression and brawler nature. Moving on, She-Hulk's ferocious appetite for destruction terrifies her victims, increasing their chance to launch a special attack by 8%, similar to Taunt. Dude, that is so funny. It's like Daddy Longlegs DLR was like watching. It's not technically a taunt, but it's a special bias. That is that is hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Oh my god, that is, yeah, that tickled me, that, because Oh dear. That is the weirdest timing ever. Absolutely ridiculous time. Increasing their chance to launch a special attack by 8%, each of the personal trauma debuffs on the opponent. So, yes, it acts as a, not technical taunt, but a special bias. When non-skill opponents activate a special attack, She-Hulk refreshes all personal trauma debuffs on them. Okay. Moving on to heavy attack. Heavy attack, if the opponent is unblockable, She-Hulk's heavy attack cannot be interrupted by basic attacks or the final hit or special attacks. Is that kind of like unblockable? No, but it's odd really, because it feels in some ways that should operate like an unstoppable. Anyway, all unblockable effects are removed and She-Hulk inflicts 2 personal trauma debuffs. Nice. Each hit against a non-skill opponent inflicts a non-stacking fear debuff for 12 seconds. While fear is active, She-Hulk cannot miss. Nice. We all love that. SP1. On activation, inflict a personal trauma debuff. Each hit inflicts 15% Spectre debuff for 12 seconds. Handy against healing champions. That's nice. SP2. Stricken from the record. On activation, inflict 2 personal trauma debuffs. Each hit inflicts a 55% withered debuff for 22 seconds. Max stacks 2. Now, going back to She-Hulk, I think she has a power. Does she have power lock? No, she's petrify. Sorry. Potato. Petrify. Which obviously does suppress. Come on, there we go. Reduces ability accuracy rate and regeneration rate by the listed percentage. Of course, different with Wither, and that powering suppression, yes. Is Wither the new Petrify? Thoughts in the comments. Moving on, and we do have an SP3. The prosecution rests. Inflict an indefinite 20% debilitate debuff. Max stacks 2. Re-inflict all personal trauma debuffs on the opponent. Inflict 30% weakness debuff for 12 seconds. Okay. This is all stuff that we'll have to figure out, because it's not rotations. Like, that's something we have to be very mindful of. What the heck? She-Hulk eats punks like you for breakfast. Her long career of stomping noobs grants her a benefit based on the opponent's class. Science, when the opponent activates a special attack, inflict an indefinite 15% special concussion debuff. Mystics, while the opponent is below a bar of power, personal fear and trauma debuffs expire 49% more slowly. Okay, good. That's handy for suppression. Cosmic, She-Hulk's personal debuffs gain 10% increased duration per unique buff on the opponent. Okay. And then we've got the other ones, which is while below a bar of power, She-Hulk gains a 15% combat power rate, which is obviously tech. Handy if you need to then suppress power on them because you were like building up to an SP2 quicker. Mutant, during the opponent's special attack, She-Hulk grants 3,385 of Bulwark passive. Okay. And then what else? Synergy-wise, She-Hulk's punishing the opponent's special attack with a heavy attack, pauses personal furies for 3 seconds. That's really handy for ramp. That's handy for the old school She-Hulk. At least you kind of like want to pair them up. Yeah, works. And then we've got She-Hulk. Should probably put that into shot. She-Hulk Deathless, punishing the opponent's special attack with a heavy pauses personal traumas for 3 seconds. I guess that's handy again for rotation and keeping those traumas on and doing the burst of physical damage, which obviously is important to the champion's rotation. The Vision Deathless. Side fight with an indefinite 10% cruelty passive for Vision Deathless. She-Hulk gets increased ability accuracy for personal trauma effects by 2% for each #Deathless champion on the team. I'm preparing these guys. My team of Deathlesses are going to be ready for whatever content comes our way. Rank 2ing all of them. 7 stars, yes. Any further, not sure really. Really not sure on that one. I think there's some other. Of course, that Deathless Arbiter is like Deathless Thanos, and then there's some other stuff as well, like personal trauma debuffs and other kind of like And other things to mention. So it does look like we have some very exciting things with the champion. It looks like from a damage perspective, this physical damage is probably the main thing that is substantial about the champion. Shiak is traded as in simple anger for bloodlust and stacks trauma debuffs instead of the fury passive the original favors. This gives her the ability to output more physical burst damage than almost any other champion in the game. And to do that, her burst damage is going to be centered around, is it trauma debuffs? That kind of like help out with that physical damage, which is here. For each personal trauma on the opponent, the chance to inflict is reduced by 2. No, it's not there, isn't it? It's structure has a fully inflict a trauma debuff. Doesn't show trauma. Her trauma is paused during strikers. It's somewhere. It's somewhere. Then we'll figure it out because obviously reading it is very different to actually playing it. So I want to see it in action. That's the next thing. Seeing a champion in action. Figure out if it's going to be potent, fun, and doing that burst damage that it says on one thing, but of course, like from reading it, it doesn't specifically say something. No, it's there. It's there, isn't it? She-Hulk's ferocious appetite for destruction terrifies her opponent, increasing their chance to launch a special attack by. No, it's not there, isn't it? It's somewhere then. It's somewhere here that I'm probably misreading. And you just do some burst damage. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the video. Interesting things when it comes to the Spectre debuff and the Wither debuff. Of course, dealing with healing, dealing with power gaining. Cool. Looks like a fun champion. What are your thoughts? Put it in the comments. I'm going to work on some other videos now, as this was a bit of an unexpected one that came out left field. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. Bye.